Welcome back and thank you for staying with KTN Prime. My guests are still here with me, Fanyamambo Kinuthia and Maliba Arnold. So let's talk about the ODM party. I mean, on Tuesday, we saw them officially declare its full support for the Kenya Kwanza administration. Now, this is just coming days after the ODM Secretary General, Edwin Sifuna, was in an interview in a local media house, and he was speaking opposite from what we saw happen on Tuesday. Maybe Fanyamambo, we can start. What was your initial reaction when you heard what was said during that press statement?
I'll tell Kenyans, and I want this to be very clear. Kenyans, nataka mukatae this nonsense called conclave. It is rubbish. Refuse. What Sifuna is being put into, kuna tupesa tumepatikana mahali, to waste kama tule to NADCO bombers. And they want to use our money on something very foolish called a conclave. And I call it completely, totally, and absolutely useless and foolish on national TV. And I'll tell you why. They are saying that they want us to have a conclave to discuss the NADCO report. Now, NADCO, the first item on NADCO report was IEBC. Watu wameenda wametengeneza IEBC without consulting us. We are actually trying to understand how to read some of the names of the commissioners. We don't know how those, they're very new to us. And then they want us now to get into a conclave to discuss IEBC that they have already passed. How foolish do they think we are? One of the other items that was involved, that was number 2 and very important to them, is the creation of the office of the official leader of opposition. Yani tuende into a conclave to discuss Gen Z wameuliwa, so to discuss why people are on the streets. We don't discuss the cost of living. We don't discuss university funding model. We don't discuss shashe shishoshu. They want us to sit and discuss with them. NADCO, Office of the Leader of Official Opposition, CC, to discuss 50 million Kenyans. Vile tuta create ka office kamoja, kamtu moja na tumbo yake na familia yake. We are not going into the conclave. They want us to discuss how to make Musalia Mudavadi's position official, Office of the Prime Cabinet Secretary. That is what is in NADCO. You know, Kenyans have been hearing NADCO. We have already forgotten what NADCO was. NADCO was a collection of interests of politicians. Sisi tumekataa hiyo kitu inaitwa conclave. It is not important for us. It is not useful for us. And anybody trying to take us that direction, watumie pesa za mifuko yao. We do not want to hear allocation of public resources into a meaningless thing called a conclave. That 50 million Kenyans have to start getting into a conversation to discuss Office of the Prime CS, an unconstitutional office. How to create Office of the Leader of Official Opposition. Not how to make university funding model work. Not how to, so we are telling them that they were forcing Sifuna, and I could see he was struggling to pronounce some of those words. Paka alitoka hapa ulimi kama imecrack because those words were very hard for him to read. But he did it nonetheless. So our position as young people, and I have spoken to very many, and even now they are chatting me and they are texting me. They are saying, your conclave, ni yao. And the young people have already nominated the ones who are going to represent them in that conclave. We've nominated Rex Masai in his absence. We've nominated Albert Ojwang. We've nominated all those young people who died. Because this conversation is not about us. It's not futuristic. It's not useful for this nation. It is another process kama ile ya bomas ya kula pesa. Those people are being paid sitting allowances of up to 50,000 shillings per person for one day. And they want to bring back that nonsense to Kenyans. We are saying no. And we are telling Kenyans, mukatae hii conclave. This conclave is not useful for us as a nation.
Okay.
I think what is important, and that is what we wanted them to hear. For example, you come and say, now you want us to help you implement the 10-point agenda. The first of one of those, and the most important 10-point agenda, is no abductions. How shall we help you to labda mutuambie munataka tupange hizo Subaru hapa to deal nazo ziishe? Because why are you telling us to help you to stop abductions? You are the owners of the Subarus. The abductors are known to you. The guns they carry are yours. How do you involve Kenyans in something called a conclave to discuss how you are going to end abduction of Kenyans?
Okay.
How, no. Allow me.
You're not done. Okay.
How do you want us to have a conversation about how we are going to respect the Constitution, and you have been given the police, you have been given everything, all the implements of power. Then you're telling us to go into a conclave to discuss how you are not going to kill us in police cells. The police cells are yours. The policemen are yours. Yeah? All those things are doing, they're under your control. Then you're telling us to stop what we are doing and get into something ugly called a conclave to discuss how your policemen are not going to kill our young men and women inside police cells.
Okay. Maliba, your take.
It's bad.
A quick one for me would be that what is happening in ODM, we can actually see a few good things. That number one, Sifuna managed to get a few things done correctly. Number one, he managed to have the party organ sit and own the position. Because until that particular time, the party, there was no party organ that had actually adopted that. He also managed to actually have the party clearly state that it is the party leader's imperative. And they try to give it an explanation on why he was doing that for purposes of sustaining blah, 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 and the others. So he ensured that Raila Odinga owned that particular participation, or rather that cooperation. He owned it as an individual. So that he managed to do. But quickly, if you are going to look at where we are headed, I have heard Fanyamambo talk about the conclave and whatever they want us to do and everything else, what this cooperation is about. Of course, in Sifuna's statement, he said that the party leader had decided, and he said that the party adopted the party leader's position. So clearly, he made Raila own it. Two, he also made the party inadvertently, of course, confess that they did not have a position to own, and therefore, all those things they were saying had not been ratified by a party organ. Of course, Raila is ODM, and ODM is Raila. But probably quickly to speak to what really this MOU and cooperation is all about. Largely, I don't think it's about even the conclave and everything around that, because the conclave thing, number one, we are not electing a pope. So whatever explanations you want to give us about the conclave, those definitions and whatever, what we know is the conclave done in the Sistine Chapel, for purposes of getting a pope, it's exclusive and whatever. Whatever good language they come up with, we are not electing a pope. We simply want a few things done right. Like somebody said on the streets, that when young people go to the street, they simply ask the president, vile tulielewana, umefanya, na vile unafanya, tulielewana. That is the question people are asking. So when you come up and are telling us that we need a national dialogue, we did not swear with the Bible to uphold and defend the Constitution, like William Ruto and the government did. So we cannot have dialogue about you defend, or rather upholding and defending the Constitution. The president took oath of office. He lifted a Bible. So he wants us to have dialogue about him keeping to the oath he took. That we cannot have a dialogue about that.
Okay.
Also, when you talk about a dialogue, Ashley, you cannot have dialogue with a terrorist. This administration is actually a terrorist administration. If you are to define what terrorism is, this government is actually a tier 1 actor in terrorism. Look at this. This is the CS for Interior, Murkomen. Today, he said that police brutality cannot be proved unless a court of law declares. So according to Murkomen, Albert Ojwang is not dead unless the court says that Albert Ojwang is dead. According to Murkomen, Rex Masai is not dead because a court of law has not declared itself on that issue. And then when nikikwambia hii serikali ni ya wahuni, you think like I'm actually being biased. That is the CS for Interior telling you, today it's actually on record, that police brutality, we saw people being shot in Ngong and Kiseri and everywhere. We saw that. We have seen police shoot and kill people. We saw Kariuki being killed on Moi Avenue. We saw it's on record. But according to CS Murkomen, unless a court of law says that that is police brutality, that is not. Okay. Therefore, everything we have seen, actually, kama Murkomen si muhuni na kibaka, yeye ni nini hiyo? As in, what exactly is he? If a man, he stands out there and he speaks to us like we are dead. As in, when Murkomen looks to us, I know William Ruto ni mfugaji, lakini asifikiri sisi ni mifugo yake. Also, Murkomen, I know he's also a pastoralist, but we are not his cattle. We are not dead from the neck upwards. That's what I'm telling you. whatever, I know he's taking time talking about why we cannot have this dialogue and everything else. How do you discuss with a terrorist? We, the sovereigns, cannot have dialogue with a terrorist state. It is for them to align. People have been asking for them, respect the law, have been asking them, respect the law. They are not respecting the law. They want us to talk about respecting the law. How do you have dialogue with somebody who's abducting you? How do you have dialogue with somebody who's killing you? How do you have dialogue with somebody who's looting the entire treasury and taking away our livelihoods? It's not just enough for them to take away our livelihoods. They are also taking away our lives. And you are talking about dialogue. How shameless can one be? So whatever you talk about people having conversations here, you cannot have a dialogue with a terrorist. Okay. This administration is a terrorist administration, but they're by all definitions. And therefore, they are now charging young people with terrorism. The worst, we've seen terrorist activities recently. We are losing soldiers on the front line. Every single day we have got our men either being injured, being killed, but that is not being dealt with. We are now charging people who go to the street to ask for their rights for terrorism.
Okay.
Yeah.
But let me just be the devil's advocate for once. I mean, President William Ruto said, it's not just about you criticizing the government. Give me solutions.
We'll give them solutions. Oh, we are happy to give solutions. We don't just criticize.
Okay.
We have a totally useless outfit of Kenyan soldiers in Haiti.
Their police.
Sending, who told you they are police? Spending 4.5 billion of your money and mine. Polisi tunapiga huku kwa streets time ya maandamano ndio unasema wako Haiti.
Focus.
Let me tell you. We are spending 4.5 billion in 9 months to keep 400 soldiers or policemen, if you want to call them, in a country where we don't get even one muhogo. I have never even seen a Kenyan going to buy peremende in Haiti. I don't know what we do there. But we are spending 4.5 billion there. If you take 4.5 billion Kenyans, is 4, 5, and 9 zeros. It's very easy. Just count zeros zifike tisa. And I want you to divide that by 400 men. Kenya is spending 11 million on every single soldier that we are keeping in Haiti per month. No, for the period. Sorry, for the period, 9 months. Now divide 11 million by 9 months. And you'll see we are spending more than 1 million shillings to keep one soldier in Haiti, a place we don't need to be. But that's not where it gets juicy. Where it gets juicy is Kenya has allocated 3 billion to free primary school feeding program. Now, there are 10 million children in primary school in Kenya today. Yani, 400 soldiers, 4.5 billion in a country we don't need to be. 3 billion to 10 million children that are our children. If you divide 3 billion is 3 and 9 zeros. Just divide that by 10 million. Each child has been allocated 300 shillings per year. Yani ile milione nango nakula lunch 300 bob in a day. Each child has been allocated 300 shillings to eat per year. If you divide, even if you are fair in division, each child gets a bob a day. The solution is number one, let us exit Haiti. Because you're asking for us to give solutions. Let us exit Haiti. The 4.5 billion you are giving, yani munapatia mtoto wa Kenya 1 bob. 1 bob ni very, ata avocado yezi nunua. There is nothing you can buy for a shilling.
That's just for feeding. Let's not forget that they cannot.
That's just for feeding. So it means we are not feeding our children.
Yeah.
But we are keeping soldiers in Haiti.
What about free education?
The just State House imepewa 12 billion. Forget even, yani there's an institution, a loss-making institution called State House, that we give 12 billion per year and get no value out of it. And then we have children who are our own children, we allocate 3 billion, 10 million of them. So the solution lies therein, sitting down and doing mathematics that makes sense. And starting to say, where in Kenya are we wasting resources on the wrong things? And what is this that we are doing that we shouldn't be doing with our resources? And that's why when you hear them talking of now, I don't know, subsidizing education, not giving capitation to schools and so on and so forth, I can tell you for free. We have our monies put in the wrong place. We have our priorities upside down. Let us as a nation sit down and ask ourselves, what are the most important things? Where should we be putting our money into? Haiti is one misplaced. The only thing we have gotten from Haiti is we've learned how to run a gangster state. And that's why for the first time, by the way, hizi vitu zimeanza after Haiti. This is the first time we are seeing policemen working in cahoots with goons. You saw when Akina Medhu were being beaten in Murang'a. What was happening? The goons were being seen. We have the videos. They were talking to the policemen. They were getting instructions. And policemen are getting confused. And I'm saying, let us forgive our policemen. But they are not that terrible. Okay. Our policemen are so nice, if you want to know. Because when they went to Giganjo, there was no lesson on lesson number 17, how to work hand in hand with the goons. They were never taught such a lesson. But now they are having to find themselves in very precarious positions. So the only thing we have learned from Haiti is how to have a gangster republic. So let us pull our soldiers out of there. Let us bring them back home. Let us not spend another 4.5 billion maintaining 400 men and then 3 billion maintaining 10 million children.
Okay, you wanted to add into that?
Just on that, a quick one. I don't know why people who came out convinced the nation that they had an idea. They said they had a plan. They even called their manifesto the plan. They would then turn to us and ask us and tell us to give them solutions. Number one, for as long as Kenyans have been complaining, this administration has not found it wise to even review their own plan. As in, primarily it will start at a point where, by the way, their plan is actually due for midterm review. But they are rigid. This rapacious regime is actually eating everything it can actually get. Number one, even as you speak about the school feeding program, they're even taking food from soldiers. These are the people who pay the ultimate price. They've taken food from soldiers. Now, and by the way, in camps here, people might not tell you this, but outside here in military camps, as in now there is a common thing between soldiers and college students. What a lunch ikifika wanainama. You know, the language ya kuinama is when lunch comes, you miss it because you don't have anything to eat. Yeah. So now they've actually now resorted to actually now cutting them much more. You've committed your pay slip to a bank because of the money you get and everything else. Now they have decided that even that little, and by the way, Ashley, do you know how much a meal allowance on a soldier's pay slip is? These are things we shouldn't be talking on TV. But then when you have got a regime that does not really care, you've got about 2,200 and I think 20 shillings as a meal allowance when you are serving in the camp. When you are in the field, ama kwa kichaka, you get about 2,700 and 40 or 20. Normally an addition of about 500 shillings when you are out there.
For 1 meal?
Per month. Oh. So if you are to divide that money, is that they have got about 70 shillings per day. Roughly around 70 to 90 shillings per day. That is the meal allowance that now this particular administration feels like it's doing soldiers a favor. They are even doing away with the other system. Now they are being forced to even order their meal on an app. You are putting all your soldiers on an app in a country that you can't deal, so that then you can actually...
soldiers fight better. Machine ya 1 million chapatis in a camp.
You know, the fighting as a soldier is actually an energy sapping assignment. Even to run in the morning, the case they do and everything else. So now imagine you are a PT, you are a physical trainer, for example. Yeah. You have to eat well, be strong, so that then you can actually pass the same, do the fatigue to the other soldiers and everything else. So wewe unainama lunchtime ikikuja and then unachapa watu fatigue. It's not even possible. So making our soldiers, are they going to defend this country by fasting? They are forcing even the military guys to fast. But that's just one thing.
Okay, I want to ask you something.
To move on,
okay.
Just very fast. Yeah. Look at this. These are the same guys, but you will need to be surprised when they take away food from soldiers. These are the same people who sat down and thought the 5 billion shillings that is used to actually print exams is so much money. They want to put it somewhere so that they can get their cut. The whole idea on why they are reallocating money is that they wanted to put the monies in vote heads where they can spend directly. He's spoken about State House getting about 12 billion shillings. What so many people don't know, and it's a shame, is that there has been a practice where State House is funded through line ministries, so that then you people cannot do the mathematics and find that probably State House got 20, 30 billion shillings. So there is money that is put in ministries, and then at the expenditure point is actually spent on the office of the president. That is just how shameless and rapacious this particular administration is.
Okay, but we cannot substantiate that claim.
It is a fact, actually. You actually just need to look at the Auditor General's reports. You know, there is data already, there is evidence. Like they say, in God we believe, everybody else must bring data. The data here is the Auditor General's reports.
Okay, so let me ask you this, because it seems like you're painting a grim picture. Is there nothing that is working right now from this administration, from where you sit, Fanyamambo? Is it all negative?
We used to say that Kenya is headed in the wrong direction. Now we are saying we already got there. That place you call wrong direction, we are no longer heading there. We got there, we arrived. And now we are wondering how wrong direction looks like. That's where we are. Is there something that is working right in this nation? Yes. Retrogression at a very high speed. We are retrogressing so fast. And the way you know, one of the economic indicators is how much cement you consume. Kenya is now consuming 15 million bags less of cement. 2023 to 2024, we've consumed less cement than we ever did by 15 million bags. In spite of the affordable, avoidable housing that is going on. So we are trying. I sometimes sit, I even ask ChatGPT, tell me something nice that the Kenya Kwanza administration has done. I try. I wish there was one day I would come here and say, nimepata kitu. I can't. Right now, they are importing rice, 15 million metric tons. The farmers in Mwea wamejaza rice. And I was telling them, you importer, unajifanya uko na pesa. Si uende kwanza Mwea ununue kila kitu. And then you say, we've bought what was available, now we are bringing, because they are saying that they want to bridge the gap of the surplus. So you're telling them, why don't you first buy what's available, prove to us that the stores are now empty, then you import. But they are starting the other way around. You've seen the presser today by the leaders of the opposition about poisonous sugar. It's coming. Another good thing with poisonous sugar, if you didn't know, there's something good thing about it, by the way. One of the things they said is that it causes loss of memory. I was given tea today, and it had some sugar. I don't even know whether I'm speaking English
We're not
or Kiswahili.
poisoning you.
No, I'm not saying you're poisoning me, but I'm saying it makes you lose everything.
We have got a collective memory loss as a country because of...
And maybe it's meant to make us forget the people who've died in mandamanos and all. So I belabor. I try so hard. Trust you me. I want to wish this one thing I would say that is working, but I can't.
This is a lot, actually.
That is working, right?
Yes.
Please, do share.
First of all...
Somebody's digestive system. First of all,
one thing that is actually working so well is that William Ruto has actually managed to take us back to Moi era effectively. He's done that so effectively. He's killed our democratic order. Even when Museveni came here, Museveni was actually just a supervisor coming to see his intern, how the intern is actually catching on and how the intern is doing his work. He's managed to actually just ensure that nothing works. And totally, the only thing that is actually working is his business and his cronies. We complain about rice, he's talking about rice. As they bring in rice, and one thing, actually, by the way, I was born in Nairobi here. Did a little bit of growing here, but my people come from Mumias. Mumias has been the stronghold of sugar. There was a time where if you didn't take to your mother sugar that is actually from Mumias, you weren't a good child. It was almost like we spoke of it as natural sweetness. Today, that factory runs at about 3% of its time when it was at the peak. But Mumias sugar is everywhere. But you know what? There is sugar in this country that is actually being brought every single day. Coming in through Uganda. Nowadays, they actually are very bold. It's just coming in through the coast directly, and it gets into go-downs. The whole of this week, there is sugar that is actually getting into go-downs across the country, specifically in Nairobi. Now, across Nairobi, go-downs are receiving sugar. But then you cannot see the same in Mumias, for example. So, William Ruto has simply managed to turn the country into his enterprise. Because if businesses are struggling, have you wondered why is it that only politicians' businesses are doing well? As in, these ones are actually very blessed. They are so good in politics. They're also so good in business. And that it's only their business that is doing. That's why I've asked you, if the president can put out as much money as he puts, really, kuuza samosa na mandazi pale Weston inaweza kupatia rais hiyo pesa yote? It's not possible. Hata kama ni kuuza mayai, why is Muguka Farm not doing the same? Why is Kenchik not doing the same? Why is everybody's business actually scaling down, but only politicians' businesses are doing well? You actually have to be a mad person not to actually see the link. Finally, probably I should talk about the church in State House. You want to put up a church and you say you are using your own money. Actually, I know probably you don't know this, but the president has never worked anywhere else. The president has been, anything the president has is public money. Because he was a member of YK92, he became a member of parliament. He has no record working anywhere else. So when he tells us that he's using his own money, what other thing has he done other than being an agent and broker of public money? Everything he has is public money. So it's not possible that the private sector is struggling and somehow every member of parliament knows how to do a BQ and do construction. We have got better contractors in parliament than we have got members of parliament. So we've killed our administration and everything else. And as it is at the moment, by the way, it is not, when you ask what is the solution we can give them. Number one, they can do a midterm review, change hearts, stop stealing. But the one thing that they're not willing to hear is that they can also step out if they are unable to do it. We are at a point where you cannot change the system. You need to force a system decay so that then you replace it. Otherwise, as it is, everything that is being done for theater, and it does not serve the public interest.
All right, 1 minute, your final thought.
More than 30 years ago, there was a group called Youth for Kanu 92. All of us who were young then believed in Fodasili. So we used to wave two fingers and say, Fodasili, Fodasili. And then they were telling us that if you wave two fingers, they are going to cut them off because we were supposed to wave the one Kanu finger. It has taken us a very long time to start to agree with them. And now we are here, we are telling them Kanu, we are showing them one finger. And all of them now are showing us two fingers. And they are fighting us. And we are telling them, you are the ones who are telling us to wave only one finger. We have agreed. We are waving one finger at them. And they are waving to us two fingers and telling us it has to be two. And we are telling them, what if we told them what you told us when you were in Youth for Kanu 92, we are going to cut the two. You wouldn't find it to be fair.
Okay.
So
probably
you continue waving the
Fodasili.
two. We shall continue waving the one.
This
We
Fodasili.
have just moved back into Kanu and we are telling them, now look, it is one finger.
All right, gentlemen, that's a really good place to end this conversation. Thank you so much, Maliba Arnold, party leader, Progress Plus Alliance, Fanyamambo Kinuthia, a lawyer. And that's how we wrap things up here on KTN Prime. Thank you so much for being part of the broadcast. I'm Ashley Mazuri. On behalf of Jesse Rogers and Maresha Witty, have a good night.